Hey there, and welcome back to the video series about data structures and HashSet and hash maps in Java. So we ended with having created the set, which included 5 countries, and we iterated through them, and that was all good. But if we want to actually use one of our own custom classes instead of a string, how do we do that? Because it is possible to use other than the built-in Java data types to store them in their in the data structures. So first off, let's try to create a class. We just call it country. Let's zoom a little bit here. So if we just state that, it should be relatively simple. So we just have the name in there, and let's just make a constructor that has the name in there. So that's a really simple business entity custom class we made there with a name, and probably it's a good idea to do the toString method so we can get a friendly description of this object here. So the country and the name. We could add more to this, of course. So if we head back here to our file here, so then we can change the data types from string to a country. So now we're using a custom class here, and we also need to modify our data types as well here, and let's just add a couple of countries. We don't need all of them. C1 equals new country. Let's go with Sweden. So now we got Norway maybe, and Denmark, right? So we got a couple of countries here. So we're gonna add C1, C2, and C3. All right. So now we have inputted 3 different countries, and we can see that when we run it, we get the countries quite well in the set. So now we've changed it to a custom class. Okay, so that is all good, but there is one thing that we need to be aware of when we are working with custom classes and business entities in hash data structures, and this is because we will use normally we will use the string to actually determine the hash code that where it will be put into the bucket. So it is pretty important that we take care of how we calculate this hash there. And to see that it's important, let's just try to switch off Norway with Denmark. So now we have actually 2 countries that is the same. Okay, but if we run the program, we can see here that we are essentially breaking the concept of the set, because we have added 2 elements that is the same, and that should not be the case here. And the basic reason is that we need to tell Java how it should determine if 2 objects is the same. And we have something called equals. So if we write if C1 is equals to, and this is C2 here, if we do system out println here, and else we can do false here, right? So if C2 is equal to 3, and we would say that is the case here, that C2 is in fact equal to C3 because the objects have the same data, then it should say true, otherwise false. So let's see what happens here. And we can actually see, if we hover up here, that Java currently states that they are not equal. Okay, so we need to tell Java somehow that they are in fact equal. And how can we do this? Well, we can go in here and into the custom class, and we can override the equals methods. So the way we do this is that we can use NetBeans and also other IDEs to override equals and hash code, and we're just going to take equals first here. So now we can see that it has actually done hash code as well. But if we take a look at the equals method here, it has put a lot of code automatically for us. And if we just test it first, if we see right now, we can see that it probably changes a little bit now, because now it states that it is in fact equal. So these two objects are equal now, because we've told them that these two objects should be treated as the same. And how does that work? Well, if we take a look at the function here, the overridden function here, we're actually overridden. We're overriding the equals method that comes from object, because every custom class object in Java will extend from object. So we need to override it, and we can see that we do several checks here. We will check if this object is equal to the comparing object, and this will be done using a bitwise operator. And this essentially means that if they point to the same space in memory, the same reference, they must be the same. So that is why we return true. If the object is null, then they're not true, so they're not the same, then we return false here. And next we will check if the class of this object is not the same as the comparing class, and if that is the case, we will also return false. And then we get to the case that we can cast this other object as a country object, because we have checked that it is the same class here and that it is not null. So we will cast it, and then finally we will check that if the name of this object is not the same as the other one, we will return false. So if we get all the way down to this statement here, it means that they must be the same. But it is actually this piece of code here that actually determines to Java that if the name is the same, it should be true. And if you have additional properties in your class, then you can of course do extra checks afterwards to actually check that maybe the name needs to be the same, as well as maybe the population or something like that. Okay, so now we have the equals method overridden here, so we can actually see that now the set is working as it should, because now we only have one Denmark. So this is important to notice, that when you input custom classes BE entities to your hash data structures, it is important to implement the equals method as well as also the hash code. We will talk about the hash code in the next video to see how they work together. But that was basically what I wanted to demonstrate here about the custom classes and also the equals method. Have fun with this. Hope you make this work. Bye bye.